Welcome to Miniature Skater. In today's video, I'm going to be giving just a few reasons why, if you used to skateboard, you should try fingerboarding. Hear me out if you're unsure. So to start off with, fingerboarding is a cool hobby. It's a hobby that you can progress with. It's a hobby that has the support of some really great companies and some really great communities out there. And it's something you can do in the comfort of your own home if you've got a spare 5 minutes. It's something you could take out with you. It's kind of a hobby that can be done almost anywhere, which I think is really cool. One of the main reasons I've really been enjoying this fingerboarding hobby over the past year is because it's a hobby that's physically in front of me. It's not something I'm having to stare at a screen to take part in, which I think nowadays for hobbies is kind of becoming rarer and rarer. So I really enjoy fingerboarding as a hobby. I think it's great. You know, if you've got a spare 5-10 minutes, doesn't have to be an hour, 2 hours, just 5-10 minutes of a day at the end of the day, and you just want to unwind. Well, practicing a kickflip 5-0 on this bench for 5 or 10 minutes, I find it a real kind of peaceful, I'm not going to go as far as to say it's a meditative experience, but it's just a peaceful experience. You know, all I'm thinking about for those 5 or 10 minutes is trying to pop that kickflip into a 5-0 and land it clean. It's enjoyable, and especially if you're someone who used to skateboard, maybe you used to skateboard years ago, maybe you still skateboard occasionally, you grew up playing, you know, skateboard games. I definitely did. I just have a kind of love for skateboarding that's not gone away, and this is a great way to kind of focus that energy into something. I'd often find myself thinking about the physics of a kickflip. Might sound strange to some people who maybe haven't skateboarded before, but for those of you that have skated, you understand you've got to get the pop and the flick, and you've got to get the timing right to ensure the kickflip spins the full rotation and you catch it bolts, you know, thoughts like that. I'd find myself just daydreaming, trying to watch a movie and just daydreaming about skateboarding, or I'd be holding the remote, spinning it like a tray flip in the air. And you know, I started to realize, hey, I've still got skateboarding on the brain. I'm in my 30s, and I don't skateboard very often. Skateboard a handful of times a year with some friends I grew up skateboarding with. But you know, still thinking about it a lot, and you know, watching all the pro videos that come out. I started getting back into it over the last few years on YouTube, watching all the kind of skate videos coming out on things like Thrasher and stuff like that. It just made me realize skateboarding is on my mind and I should do something about it. So number one, started to try and skateboard more often. But number two, you know, when I go skateboarding, I'm not quite as good as I used to be. And, you know, that is what it is, I guess, with being a bit rusty, not doing it for a while, not doing it very often. And, you know, when you watch these skate videos or you play those skateboarding games growing up, you'll be thinking about tricks like a tray flip crook, which, you know, realistically only very few amount of kind of good skateboarders in the world can do that trick. I'm definitely not one of them. And so fingerboarding is a way for me to kind of enjoy those tricks, because I likely won't be able to do them in real life. Now, in real life, I think at my peak, I could do a heel flip 180, kick flip. You know, I could skate on a half pipe, that sort of thing. I never reached a level of like great. I reached a level of I'm happy, I'm content. I enjoy skateboarding. I enjoy just even rolling around. But fingerboarding allowed me to kind of think, well, I really like watching videos of pro skaters doing like kickflip crooks down handrails, and having fingerboarding as a hobby means that I can be doing that and enjoying those tricks in a miniature tiny scale. One thing that might surprise you is that fingerboarding as a hobby has progressed a lot over the last few decades. A lot of the time when people think of fingerboarding, they might think of a kind of cheap fingerboard that they grew up with. Well, nowadays there are actually so many options, and there are kind of different levels, I guess. But you know, for a pro setup you can get nowadays, these are wooden decks with, you know, 5-ply wood, a real wear graphic, bearing urethane wheels, trucks with bushings. you know, and you can tune the bushing. So, you know, if you want it to be a bit tighter, a bit softer, depending on kind of how you want to ride. There's kind of a lot of upgrades and things that have happened over the last few decades that I definitely wasn't aware of until I got into this hobby. And I find that really cool. You know, there's also some really high quality obstacles, ramps, ledges being made. And I just think it's really cool. And something that maybe if you weren't aware of, I wanted to make you aware of. Okay, well, I hope you found that somewhat interesting. And if you used to skate, perhaps after this video, you might be considering looking into starting the fingerboard hobby. One thing I will say is you don't need to jump in and spend loads straight away. You could kind of pick up a cheaper setup. You can maybe pick up a tech deck. They're normally a few pounds, and just kind of get a feel for if that's something that you want to pick up as a hobby and take further. And then you can kind of start looking into other options and obstacles and things like that. But hopefully this video's giving you some food for thought. And what I'll do now is just a quick little edit of a few tricks that I've learned on some of my ramps.